They didn't just lie to you, they programmed you. From the moment you could walk, you were trained to believe you're just human, fragile, limited, separated from power, and completely dependent on something outside of yourself. But here's the truth. No one told you. You are not separate from God. You are God in form, temporarily asleep to your true nature. And that voice in your head that keeps doubting, fearing, and sabotaging you, it's not you. It's the noise keeping you from waking up. Sounds wild, right? Maybe even blasphemous. But look around. If you were truly powerless, how do you explain the synchronicities, the gut feelings that come true, the way your emotions can shift entire situations? This isn't New Age fluff. These are fragments of a forgotten truth leaking through the cracks of your conditioning. You were taught to forget who you are because remembering would make you uncontrollable. And the world doesn't know what to do with a man who realizes he's not a follower, but a creator. This video isn't just another spiritual pep talk. It's a direct transmission, ancient knowledge that's been hidden, suppressed, and buried under fear for generations. We're going to strip away the illusions, decode the mirror of reality, and reveal how everything you thought was out there has always been a reflection of what's happening in here. Once you see it, your spiritual awakening won't feel like a theory anymore. It'll feel like coming home. And what happens when you finally come home to your divine identity? You stop chasing, you stop waiting, you start creating, with clarity, confidence, and silence as your secret weapon. Let me show you how. 1. The illusion of separation. Most people go through life thinking they're just a small piece in a giant puzzle. They believe life happens to them, not through them. That belief alone is the biggest lie ever sold. This illusion of separation makes you think you're isolated from the world, from others, and especially from your own divine identity. But here's the real twist. What if everything you see, touch, and feel is actually connected to you and not separate at all? When you start seeing life this way, your inner vision begins to sharpen like a lens finally coming into focus. Let's get real. Think about how we treat people when we see them as other. Judgment, fear, comparison, rejection. Now compare that to how we treat ourselves on a good day. Compassion, understanding, care. What if every person in your life was a mirror of your own consciousness, just reflecting different parts back to you? That would mean all your relationships are just interactions with yourself in different forms. This understanding alone can completely flip how you deal with conflict and connection. And it's not just about people. That problem at work, that money issue, that pain in your body, they're all symbols, signals pointing to a deeper truth within. When you stop seeing these things as separate from you and start owning them as extensions of your own state of being, that's when real spiritual awakening begins. You shift from being a victim of circumstances to the one who writes the script. Now that's power. And it doesn't come from effort. It comes from awareness. Try this simple but powerful practice today. Every time something negative shows up in your life, pause and ask, what part of me is this mirroring? This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming your authorship. Once you see that all outer chaos is just a reflection of inner misalignment, you stop fighting the world and start realigning with your true self. And that's when you begin to remember something most people have forgotten. 2. You were taught to forget who you are. From the moment you were born, the world started writing a story for you, one where you're limited, fragile, and ordinary. School told you to obey, religion told you to fear, society told you to compete. All of it, layer by layer, was designed to make you forget your divine identity. No one looked you in the eyes and said, "You're the creator." Instead, you were trained to survive, not to realize your power. And so, like most people, you began to believe the lie that you're just human. Think about how often you've repeated the phrase, "I can't," in your life. I can't quit this job. I can't change. I can't afford that. Where did those limitations even come from? You didn't come into the world with them. They were programmed into you. Most people are running on beliefs they never chose, just downloaded. But here's the good news. What was learned can be unlearned. And the moment you question those beliefs is the moment you start waking up. One powerful way to reprogram your inner world is through consistent, conscious affirmation of truth. Not empty words, but reminders that crack the shell of who you thought you were. Start your day declaring things like, I am not this fear. I am not my past. I am power in motion. Repeat it until the voice in your head starts to believe you again. That voice was never meant to be your master. It was meant to be your tool. And tools can be rewired, reshaped, repurposed. You weren't sent here to follow someone else's map. You came to draw your own. But to do that, you have to stop seeing yourself through the eyes of a broken system. You're not a product of your past. You're not defined by what happened to you. You're here to remember what's always been true. And once you start hearing that inner voice more clearly, you'll realize something else about that constant mental noise you thought was normal. 3. The voice in your head is not the real you. Let's be honest. Most people live with a constant roommate in their head, and it never shuts up. It criticizes, compares, worries, overanalyzes, and somehow convinces you that it is you. But here's the wild part. That voice, it's just noise. It's the echo of the conditioning, fears, and expectations you've absorbed over a lifetime. Your real self, the one connected to your divine identity, lives in the silence beneath all that chatter. And until you learn to hear that silence, you'll keep confusing the noise for truth. Think about the last time you hesitated to follow your gut. You probably felt a clear instinct at first, something deep and calm. But then came the voice, what if it doesn't work? What will people think? That inner dialogue isn't your wisdom talking, it's your programming panicking. True inner vision doesn't come through thinking harder, it comes through feeling deeper. The more you quiet the voice, the more you start to see who you really are, beyond the mask. There's a powerful practice that helps you start noticing this difference. Try sitting in silence for just 5 minutes each morning. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just observe the thoughts passing through. Don't fight them, just notice. And then ask, who's watching all of this? That's where the real you begins to surface. That presence behind the mind is your spiritual awakening in motion. It doesn't need to speak because it already knows. And once you taste that stillness, you'll never look at your thoughts the same way again. You'll stop being a prisoner of mental noise and start becoming the observer, the conscious creator. That's the shift, from being dragged by your mind to actually steering your life. And when you take back the wheel, you'll realize something even more profound. Your imagination wasn't just made to entertain you. It was designed to build the reality you live in. 4. Creation begins in inner vision. Most people think creation is about taking action in the outer world, grinding, hustling, doing. But the truth is, everything starts in the invisible. Before anything exists out here, it's formed in here. That's where inner vision becomes your most powerful tool. It's not about daydreaming. It's about seeing with clarity and certainty the life you choose to create. Every great invention, every major breakthrough, every personal transformation begins with someone daring to see it before it's real. Let's look at someone like Nikola Tesla. The man would visualize his entire machines in such vivid detail that he could run tests in his mind before ever building them. That's not science fiction. That's mastery of consciousness. And you don't need to invent futuristic tech to apply the same principle. Want to change your body? See it strong, energized, moving with freedom. Want to shift your finances? See yourself already supported, already abundant. Inner vision isn't about wishing. It's about aligning your vibration with what already exists in the field of possibility. But here's where most people trip up. They imagine what they want, but do it from a place of doubt, fear, or desperation. That energy pollutes the creation. The key is to see it as if it were already done. Feel it, walk in it, speak from it. Use scripting, vision boards, even audio recordings of your goals. And most importantly, feel worthy of what you're envisioning. Because if you don't, your subconscious will sabotage the whole process. Once your inner world gets clear, the outer world begins to catch up. Life starts to respond to your internal alignment. Doors open, people show up, ideas land. It's not magic, it's just the law. But the more you practice this, the more you'll realize something huge. The power you're using to create isn't outside of you. It's not coming from a book or a guru. It's already alive inside you, waiting to be remembered. 5. The power that shapes reality is already inside you. The real flex isn't about how much you hustle. It's about how deeply you understand your own energy. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every feeling you allow, it's all frequency. And that frequency is what shapes your reality. Most people walk around acting like powerless puppets of circumstance, when the truth is, you're the one pulling the strings. But because you've been trained to look outward, you forgot the engine was always within. Your divine identity isn't something to be found. It's something to be activated. Let's say you walk into a room feeling confident, grounded and open. People feel it instantly. Opportunities flow, conversations align, and synchronicities pop up like magic. That's not random, it's resonance. Now flip it, walk in full of doubt and fear, and watch how everything feels off. It's the same room. The difference is the energy you carried in. That's why learning to manage your emotional state isn't optional. It's the foundation. This is the real spiritual awakening. Realizing you don't react to life, you generate it. If you want to take this further, try an experiment. For 7 days, speak only from the version of you who already has what they want. Don't say, I hope, or I need. Say, I choose, I have, I am. Watch what shifts. This isn't lying to yourself. It's training your subconscious to obey a new blueprint. Just like a thermostat adjusts the room, your frequency adjusts your environment. Change the setting within, and reality recalibrates around you. And this isn't just philosophy, it's physics. Quantum mechanics already shows us that the observer affects the outcome. That means you're not a passive receiver, you're a broadcasting station. What you focus on, you empower. What you believe, you embody. And the moment you truly grasp this, the world outside starts to look a whole lot less solid and a whole lot more like a mirror. 6. Why external reality is just a mirror. Have you ever noticed how life keeps showing you the same patterns, just with different faces? Different jobs, different partners, same problems. That's not a glitch. That's the mirror in action. External reality isn't some separate force working against you. It's a reflection of your internal state, showing you what's active in your consciousness. You might think your boss is the problem, or your bank account, or your partner, but they're just playing roles written by your own subconscious beliefs. Think of it this way. Your mind is the projector, and the world is the screen. If you don't like what you see on the screen, it makes no sense to walk up and yell at it. You have to go back to the real, the source. That's where real change begins. Start with this practice. When something triggers you, instead of blaming it, ask, what part of me created this? You'll be shocked at how much power you start reclaiming. Not in a guilt trip way, but in a holy hell, I'm the creator way. This explains why 2 people can live in the same house, have the same job, and still experience completely different realities. One lives in stress, the other in flow. Why? Their internal filters are different. One is tuned into fear, the other into trust. And because the universe responds to vibration, not intention alone, their outer lives reflect that. This is why doing the work isn't optional. It's how you stop living on repeat and start rewriting the script. Once you grasp this mirror concept deeply, you'll stop fighting people and problems. You'll start asking better questions. What belief is this reflecting? What fear is still running the show? And when you answer honestly, something magical happens. The mirror starts to shift. But even that is just the beginning, because behind that shifting mirror lies something even more powerful. Not movement, not thought, but silence. 7. Silence is the gateway to ultimate control. In a world addicted to noise, silence is treated like a threat. But here's the twist most people miss. Silence isn't the absence of power, it's the source of it. Every spiritual awakening begins in that quiet space where the mind surrenders and your true self steps forward. That's where your divine identity speaks, not in words, but in knowing. The problem is most people are too busy scrolling, worrying, planning, reacting. They never sit still long enough to hear their own soul whispering back. Think about it. When was the last time you really sat in stillness? No distractions, no agenda, just presence. For most, it's uncomfortable at first because silence exposes what's been buried, but it also reveals something else. Clarity. In that space, your inner vision starts to sharpen, your awareness expands, and guidance begins to rise from within. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when the noise dies down and the real signal comes through. Try this. Instead of solving every problem with more thinking, pause, breathe, drop into the moment, let the silence answer before the mind jumps in. You'll be amazed at how often the right next step just appears, not forced, but revealed. That's because silence tunes you to the field of infinite intelligence. And from that space, you don't control life through force, you do it through alignment. You become the command, not the struggle. This is the level where control stops being about domination and starts being about direction. You're not pushing reality, you're dancing with it. Like a conductor guiding an orchestra, the movements are subtle, but the impact is massive. And when you live from that still, centered place, you'll notice something shift in how you see the world. Suddenly, everything starts moving around you, not the other way around. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.